You didn't ask, but today we're going to be reviewing 28 Years Later, the sequel to 28 Days Later and 28 Weeks Later. We're going to be doing a spoiler-free review, and then we're going to be getting into all things spoilers. I'm Tyler.
I'm Justin.
I'm Spencer.
And I'm Jory.
All right, let's get into it. But first, Spencer and I got to see How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action movie, the other day. Spencer, what did you think of the movie? Give me your quick thoughts and review.
Well, we did get to see How to Train Your Dragon, the 2025 movie. It's been 15 years since the last one came out, but I gotta say, solid film.
Yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 7.5
Yeah.
out of 10.
Yeah,
About it.
I say I give it like probably like a 7 out of 10. The problem is that like it's very, very safe. It basically does exactly what the animation does. But like if I want to see like a remake, and it's not even been out for that long, like the animation, like if you're gonna do something in live action, use live action to your like to your advantage, right? Don't just redo the animation. Show me something that like live action can do better than animation, and make it worth it. I'll just watch the animation. I don't need to see the live action, but it was cool. Yeah. It was good.
I kind of hear that critique. But at the same time, I feel like had they gone too experimental and done something too different from the original film, then people would have complained and said that they liked the animated movie better just off of nostalgia. I do think it would have been cool to see a live action movie more towards how the book was, because then you wouldn't have had to make the comparisons between the original animated movie and the new one that just came out. But for what it was, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to put it is that like the live action remakes of all these animated movies is like a double-edged sword. Either you're strayed too far away and people are going to be pissed that you strayed too far away, or you stay too close and it's like, okay, you didn't change anything. What was the purpose? This is a waste of money. Even if it's good, it's still like, why? Why do it? So
I saw all three of the animated movies, and so this one was based off the first one, right?
Yeah. Basically the exact same with the first.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason I didn't see it, is because I knew it was just going to be a remake of the first one, live action. But I really like these movies. I would say the most recently I've seen one of these movies was probably like only 2 years ago. Like I really just enjoy like the animation and the whole concept of the movie. Like you're training a dragon. Like, you know, in the first movie, it starts off, they all hate it. And then Hiccup, the boy, he just kind of puts everybody on. He's like, yeah, like they're not mean by nature. It's just we've been treating them bad for thousands or however many years. But
Hiccup definitely did clutch up.
Yeah,
Needs the entire village's perspective.
Yeah, Hiccup might be like a little bitch, but like, and in this movie, I think the actor that played Hiccup did really well as well. I think they all did good. It kind of felt like at points they were trying too hard to be their animation counterpoints instead of just being the character. And so I kind of like, I don't know. I was kind of watching it, and there was points where I just didn't feel like there was a soul in it. It just felt like it was just rehashing what the animation did instead of having like a soul of its own.
I don't know. I feel like some of the characters really cooked. Like Stoic and Snotlout.
Dude, Stoic, and also that's Gerard Butler, and he's the voice of the animation one, and he basically was like, "Yo, you got to let me be Stoic."
Yeah, that's a good decision. Actually, I didn't know that.
There were some great casting.
One of the sickest parts of How to Train Your Dragon, seeing it in live action, was seeing Stoic just box up some dragons, just boom, boom, boom. He's literally just boxing these dragons up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember if I said before, but I give it maybe like a 7 out of 10. It's like perfectly fine film. Just live action remakes are already kind of like,
I will say some
agree.
of the CGI that they used to do some of the dragons was absolutely insane.
Yeah,
like
the
not
dragons
wanting to
look good.
spoil anything, but towards the end they really cooked.
The dragons looked great, but there was some green screening in How to Train Your Dragon live action that looked not too good.
Yeah, I can agree. with
There
that.
were some points I'm like, dude, you're flying in the air at like top speed, and your hair is barely moving. Like,
So they are making a live action remake of the second movie.
I think they already announced it.
Yeah.
They announced it before it even came out.
So yeah, I'm there for that one, because that one was definitely my favorite out of the three animated films. Just that one, if you haven't seen it, too bad, I'm spoiling it.
Right.
In the second movie, that whole scene where, that bad guy, I can't even remember his name. It's been so long since I've seen the movies, but the main bad guy, he comes and like turns Toothless like evil, like he brainwashes him or whatever and turns him evil. And then at the end where they all fight the big like alpha dragon and Toothless bosses up, dude, he gets like all the blue stuff all over his body. Like,
So it's a rip
Great.
Godzilla.
No, it's its own thing. But either way, Toothless really bosses up. So I'm trying to see that live action, bro. I'm trying to see some of that.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, it was good. It's just like, do we need to make those? Do we need to make the live actions? But it's funny. This was DreamWorks' first live action, and it's leagues better than any live action Disney movie. So
Really?
Disney's really got to fucking step up.
You didn't like The Lion King?
No.
The Little Mermaid? What else did they do?
Mufasa.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that weird one. Spin-off nonsense.
I don't know.
Anyway, speaking of spin-offs, this isn't a spin-off, but sequels, 28 years later. Spoiler-free review. What did you guys think of the movie? Go ahead, Justin, give me your thoughts and your rating out of 10.
I think I'm gonna have a little bit of a different opinion than you guys, but I don't know. It wasn't really that good. I don't think. It had some good, action parts.
Liar, bro. The
No.
movie ended and you looked at me and you said, it just ended? I just got locked in. I could because
We were in the middle of
That's
a
an interesting
great
point, though.
scene with some action in it, and then
Yeah.
they do us dirty. We can't spoil it. No, don't spoil it.
Cliffhanger, it's not a spoiler.
Fair criticism.
Action point. Yeah.
Guy just spoils all of
All right,
How to
whatever.
Train Your Dragon 2, but he's better.
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. So yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed parts of it for sure. It kept my attention, but I feel like it was a little too just. I don't know. It wasn't one continuous flow of a movie. I feel like, in my opinion. So
I totally get what you're saying.
I don't know. I haven't really seen too many other horror movies or zombie shows. I've never seen Walking Dead. I've never seen The Last of Us. Never played The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So I don't really have anything to compare it to.
What you saw, give it out of 10. Give 28 years later a score out of 10.
I'll give 28 years later 5.5 out of 10.
Oh my.
It was a slightly above average movie.
All right.
So 5 is average?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, out of 10. Yeah, 5 is average.
That's not average.
I don't agree with
Average
the
doesn't-
5 scale, but
Yeah. 5 is not average.
good to hear the
I
opinion.
mean, it depends on how.
Yeah.
I like your criticisms, Justin. I think
Yeah.
they're all fair criticisms.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this movie is very divisive.
Yeah.
Or divisive, right? It's very split amongst everyone, whether or not you like it or you don't like it. And I think all critiques for the most part are valid. Jory, what do you think of the movie?
I think I liked 28 Years Later better than 28 Days Later.
Interesting take. Interesting take. Okay.
I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson,
Taylor, yeah.
I thought he was probably the best, at least acting wise. I thought he was my favorite of the whole movie.
Wow.
I don't know what the little kid's name is.
Like,
Spike.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know the actor's name,
Actor name.
but he was also really good, I thought, especially given that he's only like 13 years old. That's
This, I think it was his first movie.
yeah. So that's
Who's cooking?
that was really
Between
impressive.
Sinners, whatever his name was, Miles,
Canton, I think.
and then Spike's actor. I'm sorry, we'll put the name on the screen, but
Yeah.
both of them, first time for both of them.
Alfie Williams.
Alfie Williams,
That's his name.
You're whatever, Alfie. Yeah. All right. Yes.
Yeah, I think it was. I think 28 years later and 28 days, whatever you want to call this whole franchise,
the 28. Yeah.
it's like an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I think you really have to get used to the frantic pacing and editing and tone of all these movies to really enjoy it. But I think if you can see past that, it's fun. It's a fun zombie movie that has a lot of different themes. So, out of 10, I said 7.3.
Okay.
7.3. Yeah.
Yeah. He's always really specific. Give it a 7.5.
No, I don't think I will.
Yeah. There we go. Spencer, what'd you think?
Yeah, actually, I agree with most of the criticisms that you guys had. I thought
Yeah, just move this a little closer for you not to hit this. Go ahead.
So when talking about 28 years later, I actually agree with a lot of the criticisms that you guys had. I felt like for the most part, the editing, the world building and all that stuff was really, really good. But narratively speaking, there were like some criticisms that I had. I'd still give it probably a 7.5 out of 10. But there were some things that brought it back towards the end for me.
Okay. Man, I'm like a little bit in the minority here. I'm going to be fighting the pitchforks down. I love this movie, dude. I thought this was actually really good. And but I can totally understand. I thought 28 Years Later was actually really good, but I can understand why people won't like this. The trailer markets this movie as a horror, zombie, action, survival movie, and you get that for the first half of this, and then it switches into a coming of age emotional story. And I love that switch because we've seen zombie apocalypse movies so much. And when you look into the deeper emotional elements of this, I feel like it elevates it past just being a normal apocalypse movie. And I think people might be going into this movie expecting that. But if you watch 28 Days Later, it is about the emotion, it is about the characters, it's about humanity more than it is about the zombies. It is a huge critique on humans and humanity and like loss of innocence and what happens when the chains are let loose on humans. And I think they really nailed it on this one. We'll get into spoilers more, but I really like the themes and emotions, but I don't think it's perfect. That's the thing. I can totally understand the criticism of this movie. I just personally really vibe with it. So, but yeah, I'm going to give it like a hype because I'm on the hype of it right now. Maybe like an 8.5, but I think it's more realistically like an 8. I think it's like an 8. Jory, you said you like 28 Days better, you said?
No,
or
20
years later. I'm back and forth. There's parts of both that I like better. You don't like watching the potato quality of 28 Days Later?
No, like when I watched that, I was like, I might have mentioned this to you, but like it was so weird watching, is it Cillian or Cillian? I don't know.
Cillian Murphy.
Cillian Murphy on like such a low budget camera. Like it was just felt like I was watching like a spoof movie.
And dude, but so good. So for you that you guys don't know, 28 Days Later came out in 2002 and it was filmed on a Canon XL1 camcorder with like 720p. The quality is like a potato, but the shots are beautiful.
So bad.
And so they said, while doing research, the reason they did this was because of first budgetary reasons. Because obviously a bigger camera, you're gonna have to set the rigs up. Obviously, it's just more expensive, and they don't have that budget. I think it was like $8 million for the first movie. And then also they knew that a lot of these shots they were gonna do, like if you're watching the movie, like he's walking around like oh my god, he's walking around like the city, like in England. He's walking around, I think London, maybe I think it was. It's deserted, and like I think there's like moments of that they were like doing it like illegally, like they were just like telling people like, "Hey, don't walk in the shot right now, please," and like just hoping people were gonna be like happy and like thankful, nice for it. Mm-hmm. So obviously they don't have the time to set up a big boy camera for that. And then the other part is like, it was a stylistic choice to give you the feel that you're watching like a home movie, like someone's walking around with a camcorder filming the apocalypse. Mm-hmm. But if you notice at the ending of the movie of that one, the quality gets better for like the last couple scenes, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I understand why they would want to do something like that in 28 Days Later, but
well,
I don't know.
Do you know what 28 Years Later was shot on? What camera?
Oh, it wasn't on iPhones, right?
It was on an iPhone 15 Pro they shot this movie
crazy.
on.
And that's crazy to think that an iPhone is literally,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. It's
I will preface.
20 years and
I will preface. They did attach like cinema lenses to the iPhone.
Okay.
So you're not just walking around like this filming 28 years later, but it is an iPhone. And the rigs that they had for this, like 15 iPhone 15 Pros in a row to get that bullet time effect. Really cool. Really interesting. But anyway, you guys have anything else to say? Spoiler free?
Is that like 15 iPhone effect, like kind of like how they used to shoot like the Matrix like bullet time scenes? Like
I think that's
line
like,
them up?
yeah, I think obviously they didn't use iPhones for that, but yeah, it's that same concept. We were kind of almost doing like a 3D camera effect where you have just a bunch of cameras and you can basically just maneuver between all of them and get this 3D effect of the same scene over and over.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm ready to hop into the
Yeah, I think
spoilers, honestly.
All right. Spoilers for 28 Years Later. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Just came out. I think it's worth a watch if you like zombie movies. If you saw the first one, if it intrigues you, I think if anything, this is the type of movie you should go see because it's so divisive that it's like you have to make your own opinion about this because you got people who love it, you got people who hate it, you got people who are mixed on it. It's not like Joker 2 Folie à Deux, which everyone knew sucked. So make your own opinion about it. Go see it.
Also, I think I would say even if you haven't seen 28 Days Later or 28 Weeks Later, I think you can still see this without, like, obviously they referenced some other, like, some things from the previous movies, but I think does a really good job being like a standalone movie where it has its own story, its own characters, and like you can completely understand what's going on without, knowing the
I think
history
basically
of the
gave you like a little
series.
rundown in the beginning of what happened.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's not that
walked in,
complicated.
and this was the first movie out of all three that I had seen.
Yeah,
and
same.
I didn't feel like I was missing anything
Yeah.
important from the plot. Like it didn't make any sense because I hadn't seen 28 Days or 28 Weeks.
Yeah.
Interesting what you guys were saying though about comparing 28 Days to 28 years. I've been hearing online that 28 Weeks was like the best one out of the three.
Weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way. I don't know who you were watching because that is everyone, people do not like that. Well, no, people like it, but it's looked at as, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know.
I mean, that was just from like random comments
yeah.
that I was reading on reviews about this movie.
Yeah.
Like
Interesting.
people were like 28 weeks, 28 weeks. And I was like, okay.
Huh, interesting. I mean, that could be true. I didn't see 28 Weeks. I've seen the clips of it. It looks cool, but I just I don't know. Maybe eventually.
All right, time to get into the
Yeah, spoilers.
I think first off, like I gave the movie a 7.5, and I think for most of the movie, I actually had it higher than that, like probably like an 8. But I thought that the tonal shift kind of midway through the movie,
Yeah.
where it went from being like an action survival movie, like we kind of talked
Yeah.
about earlier, into more of like a drama, was good. But the way that they ended the movie kind of took the emotion that they had set up for it out of it for me.
Okay, let's
And I think-
talk about the ending of
Yeah.
28 years
All right.
later
I think
because
had they included the same ending
yeah.
as like an after credit scene or something, it would have changed my perspective about how I felt leaving the movie. I would have been like, okay, that was a cool way to set up the next movie, but including it with all the emotion that you were just experiencing just kind of made you feel like jarred.
Yeah. That's a really interesting take on. But yeah, what do you guys think of the ending of 28 years later? A very, very talked about and hated ending so far. Give me your thoughts on that wacky ending.
Well, like you said, as soon as they ended the movie, it literally hit me like a brick. I thought that it was going to be a whole new scene of, who this guy is, how they're going to like help each other or work together. And I literally told you, I was like, dude, I was locked in. I could have watched another 4 hours of this movie, but I don't know. It just, like you said, it kind of just took me by surprise. I thought, it was going to be a nice ending about how this kid's going to live, with his mom dying. And then this random guy who, they kind of preview at the beginning of the movie who he was when he was a kid.
Yeah.
He comes out of nowhere, the whole gang of zombie killers, and it's like, bro, where'd this guy come from? But it makes me want to go see the next movie when it comes out. Like, I want to go see that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it wasn't just that he left that was kind of like jarring for me. Like, if they ended the movie after he left the town, I would have been like, okay, cool, that still sets it up. And then maybe as the after credits, like you show the whole group of nomadic
Jimmies. It's
tracksuit
it's
wearing
the Jimmy
Jimmies.
Cult. Yeah, it's the Jimmy Cult.
taking out the zombies.
I have some information about this. I did a lot of research on what the hell that ending was, but I want to hear, Jory, what was your thoughts on the 28 years later
Well,
ending?
because we did the Sinners pod a while ago. It was cool to see Jack O'Connell
Yeah.
again, kind of.
Real quick, before, because I'm going to forget this point, he is like marketed as like the third actor.
In this movie. Yeah.
And he was
in it for
30
literally 10.
seconds.
Yeah, that made no
It reminds me
sense.
of Dune when Florence Pugh was like promoted a lot and she's in it for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
I mean, no, I really like your idea, Spencer, of having it as like an after credit scene. I think that would have made a lot more sense because of, like you said, the emotion, like it being all the way up here with like him coming to terms with his mom passing away and then like living on the mainland, I guess they called it, and trying to survive and dealing with, his dad and all these other things. And then, like you said, it's like, who are these? And it was funny because I think they alluded to it earlier in the movie with like having a Power Ranger toy
Yeah, you
on his
caught
little
that.
thing.
Yeah.
And then they come out with like different colored tracksuits and they're all like jumping around. Like that was pretty cool. I'll say that. But I don't know. Like it was, like you said, it was just like a totally weird shift. And it kind of, like you said, took me out of it a little bit.
All right, strap in.
Oh my gosh.
No, strap on.
Whoa.
No, so okay, so yeah, I agree. I think regardless if the themes, messages, and story plot is cool for the ending of 28 years later, I think that the tonal shift was like way like weird. Like it didn't feel like it fit, but I can totally understand in an apocalyptic scenario that these wacky cults would happen. Like that is totally believable. I guess it just like felt very weird with that tonal shift. So yeah, that's the kid from the beginning, Jimmy. And I had to do some research into this, and a lot of people in the US are probably not going to understand this reference. It is a UK based reference. Jimmy and his cult of Jimmies are dressed up as kind of Power Ranger-esque versions, which that's a whole theme in itself, but of a UK TV host that is basically the Mr. Rogers of the UK. This guy was super famous. Every kid watched him, supposedly. Like he was like the golden guy of TV. Everyone loved him. Every kid watched him. And yeah, every kid loved him. So they all looked up to him, which is why, if you remember, but they're in the beginning, they're watching Teletubbies. It's just kind of showing like they're watching these kids shows. They're trying to like live happy, and like that's what's happy to them. So probably his name is Jimmy Savile is the guy. And Jimmy Savile died in 2011, unfortunately. Well, actually, you know what? Fortunately. The guy ended up coming out after he was dead to be one of the biggest predators in UK history with over 300 cases.
Oh my God.
Ranging from kids from like 5 to like in their like 20s or something like that.
Not much, Mr. Rogers. That was not.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So-
that was like completely.
So
Jesus.
yeah, so this was like a huge deal that this like Mr. Rogers guy ended up being one of the biggest
Yeah.
Didn't
pedophile
hear about this until after
he
passed
died.
away. Oh
So
my gosh.
now you have to take it into this world. The world probably collapsed before all that information about him came out. So Jimmy is still holding on to what he holds dear and what he thinks is like happiness and innocence and like trying to keep himself happy, which is this culty figure. And that's why they're all dressed up.
Damn.
And then you think about the Power Rangers you brought up, which I'm not going to try to go on for too long
I
here.
didn't even connect that.
Yeah. So the Power Rangers.
Because my older brother used to love the Power Rangers, so I used to watch that show all the time. And I don't know, it just like, I think doing like jumping off. What was it? They they jumped
that was
off
kinda
because they were like elevated, and then they like did like front flips, and then obviously they went. But no, go ahead. Go ahead.
So in the beginning of the movie, Spike leaves his Power Ranger. And I'm going to talk about this later because I don't want to drone on for too long about this. But there's a really big theme of loss of innocence in this and having to grow up. So he leaves his Power Ranger at home, showing he doesn't want to be a kid anymore. He's ready to be strong. Now you have Jimmy, who's the opposite. Jimmy is stuck in his innocence, thinking that this is the way to survive this apocalypse. And he's not growing up. And that's why they're jumping around like Power Rangers, why they're dressed up like this culty guy, while they're acting all weird. And they are absolutely loving killing these people, sawing off their heads. Like,
Yeah.
Like, and that's like the short piece of it is like, it is showing the difference between someone like Spike, who had to lose his innocence in this movie, versus someone who did not lose their innocence.
Well, I also think it was really cool, the ending, showcasing them, even for a brief moment, because earlier in the movie, Spike's dad, when they went to the mainland, I think for the first time, they went to that like house and they saw the infected person like hanging upside down with like a bag over his head. And then at the end, you could see them, like you said, like playfully like killing these infected. And his dad was like, yeah, there's some weird people here on the mainland, like some really sick people. And like, obviously you see that at the end, like, you know, playfully killing these infected people, like having zero compassion for them. And like you said, Justin, I think it sets up for a really interesting next movie because, like,
Definitely
you know,
be culty religious vibe,
yeah, it's going to be like Spike, who, you know, kind of had this like awakening moment with the, you know, his mom dying and the doctor, versus Jimmy's, you know, whole ideology of like not growing up. And it's going to be really interesting. So
yeah.
No, I did definitely like the stark contrast that they had between the way that the kids in Spike's town were like raised into being able to kill the zombies, and how they went home and they were celebrated for tackling the obstacle of being able to kill their first zombie.
Yeah.
And even when he went back and he was like at the party, he was like, it didn't feel good, but
Yeah.
his dad was telling him like it gets easier the more you do it and stuff like that. Versus you see Jimmy out there killing with
literally
biggest
jump.
grin on his face.
Yeah, so I guess we're kind of on that topic. One of the biggest themes that I found in this movie was that loss of innocence, which touched on, but 28 years later really hones in on the loss of innocence here. And I've written down a couple of ways that it does this. First of all, Spike gets pushed out of his comfort zone before the town and everyone says he's ready. His dad's like, no, he's ready.
Yeah.
Dude, Spike was not ready to go out there. He was not ready. But his dad is like, no, he's ready. Like, and what are they going to go do? They're going to go kill an infected and celebrate it. They're going out to just hunt them for no other reason than hunting them.
Right.
And so he's already being pushed out into the world before he's ready. And there's a piece of it that's like, why did his dad want him to do that? Did his dad just think he was ready? I don't know. I don't know if his dad really thought he was ready. Did his dad just want the fame, the glory, and, use that to go fucking cheat on the wife? Maybe. So again, his dad is kind of pushing him out of this comfort zone, out of this innocence. And then he goes out and he's got to kill the zombie, and like you said, or the infected, and he doesn't like it. In fact, he doesn't even want to kill the child, showing that he still believes that these are like humans deep down, right? But then his dad is just like,
Right.
like not even caring, just like, and he's like, oh yeah, let's go, Spike. Also, think about that name, Spike. A literal weapon is his kid's name, not like Jimmy or like John or Mike's Way,
Mike's
Like-
way.
Nah, it's got to be a weapon name, right?
That's a good point.
And then so he's forced out into this world. He's forced to go see the infected. And there's a lot of naked fucking infected.
Oh, yeah.
They're all naked and everything's flown out there. And I think for the most part, they probably did that for shock value, but it is just more of a loss of innocence. He is forced now to see all these naked people. Like massive horse dogs. Like, he is forced into seeing all these naked infected and kill them and just like see these bodies in ways that no human should see a body. So now he's pushed even more out of his innocence. Well, he's trying to hold on to it a little bit because he's like, oh, this is a little weird. It's a little weird. Right. And then he comes back and he catches his dad lying multiple times. He's like, wait a second. I'm a pussy. Like, I didn't do all this stuff. Like, and he's realizing like, oh wait, my parents aren't perfect. And there's a whole world out there that they're keeping from me.
Yeah.
And they're trying to make me something that I'm not. Right. So he catches his dad lying. He catches his dad cheating on him and on his wife and on his mom.
Yeah.
And so it's like, whoa, okay, now you're pushed even more out of your limits. And so now he's finally broken out. And I feel like every kid has this. And a lot of kids run away in like today's age. And he's finally like, whoa, I have to go figure out this world on my own. I can't do this. I got to save my mom. And that's the innocence. The fact that he could. We all knew when that mom was sick, we're like, dude, there's no cure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But he doesn't know that because he was born into this quarantine. So now he leaves, right? He leaves to go save his mom, finds out he can't save it. And finally, when the mom dies is when he finally has broken his innocence. And now he's become a man. Whether or not he liked it or not, he has to be a man now at 12 years old.
Can we talk a bit about how the mom died? Like, I feel like we went from this woman has cancer to just let's kill her right now. And I was like, dude, like this is happening like very, very quickly. And I felt like they gave Spike a ton of drugs. Okay, I got to talk about this too. Yeah, we're in the theater, right? And
Wait, say we're in the theater watching 20.
we're in the theater watching 28 years later, right? And the woman next to me is like clearly very broken up about the wife passing away. Like she's like crying. I can like hear her
Dude,
sobbing.
I heard sniffles and I thought it was you. I was like, is Zach Rose really crying over this movie?
He's trying. So she's crying, and then like next to me, I'm talking to Jory about how the Spike is hopped up on drugs to the point where like he barely even has any clue what's going on, and like that's taken me a little bit out of the scene because it's like, does he even know completely like what's about to happen to his mom, or is he just like totally zooted?
Yeah.
So think about that also with the loss of innocence. He didn't even really get to know his mom was going to die. His mom just got ripped away from him without him actually being able to be like, I love you, mom. Goodbye. Thank you for everything. No, just
After all
this
the
random
work that
guy
he
is
did.
just like, yo, like your mom's got cancer. I agree. Definitely happened to me a little too fast.
Yeah.
But I like it because he talks about the fact that like it's better to go out. And in the first movie, Jim's parents he die by taking a bunch of pills so that they don't have to deal with the apocalypse.
Yeah.
And they say like, oh, it's better to go out peaceful than get torn to shreds.
Yeah,
by
mauled by
infected.
alpha zombie.
And that's the same thing as she was probably like, you know what? Like, I know I'm dying. This is not good for my child to see me like this and like have to keep taking care of me. So, yeah.
I did also see online, like apparently in the UK, like assisted suicide or something just got like legalized. So people have been saying that maybe that scene was like trying to show like the positive aspects
yeah.
of what it could do for people.
Interesting.
Yeah, something to think about. As like an American, I really wasn't processing that.
No.
There's
I
so
just
many
took it as
things, yeah.
some, you know,
Yeah, right.
lips. They're giving, you know, her a way out.
No, but I gotta say the best thing about the movie was their funny little accents. I love the way that those guys were talking.
had any accent.
Nah, but now that we're kind of talking about it, I'm kind of thinking to myself how I think I might enjoy this movie a little bit more than I thought I did.
Like, as I was
Why?
doing a lot of research and
What?
like everything, the more you start to learn the themes and messages and the ways that they like give you a really awesome zombie world, but make it a really deep and emotional that can connect with everyone. That's why it was raised for me.
No, but yeah, it just the reason why I think 28 years later is, you know, it's better than I initially had rated it because you make a good point about like the loss of innocence. Like I feel like Spike was kind of struggling with that throughout the whole movie. Like, you know, he went out with his dad for the first time, was, you know, shaky aim, couldn't kill the hanging zombie with the bag. Like his dad was like, you got to do it, Jimmy or Spike. And he was like, yeah. And then, so he comes back with his dad, sees him cheat on his mom. And then that scene with the Power Ranger, he picks it up like he's going to take it. And he's like, oh man, you know, this is my childhood. I should bring something to remember, you know, how I was before I came to before I came into a man. Pause. And then and then he puts it back and he's like, nah, you know what? I'm a man now. Like I can do it. And then the whole time he's out with his mom trying to bring her to the doctor, you know, they're being silly, making faces at each other, kind of like how a normal, you know, parental bond with your kid is. The dad is supposed to make you tough, be like a man, and then your mom kind of wants to keep you her little baby for as long as she can. And then I feel like they could have made that scene where the Dr. Kelson, I think is his name. He, you know, kind of tells Spike where, you know, he's like, we kind of got to kill your mom. Like she's going to die anyway. Like, I don't know. I feel like they could have made it better instead of drugging him up, because he definitely hit him with a blow dart or something. I don't know. I feel like they kind of took away his moment of being able to turn into a man, like kind of have him deal with the emotions and overcome them by himself without being drugged.
But I think that's the point. He yet again was not allowed to make any decisions about his loss of innocence. It was just like, you're not going to have to deal with this. And it's like, what if I wanted to deal with it? What if I wanted to like deal with my mom dying?
It could have helped him.
It's interesting the point too that you guys are making about like him not being ready, because at first when he goes out there and his aim and stuff is like missing, and his dad's telling him like, you know, I've been out here with grown men that couldn't hit a shot, couldn't even knock an arrow and all this other stuff. So I think on some level, Spike is more ready than he even thinks that he is, and is more ready than a lot of people around him are treating him to be. And when he goes back with his mom, like literally right after he gets back home, he's like, all right, mom, we're headed back out to the zombie place. That kind of told me like, he's got that dog in him. He really is definitely like
I would not
a lot more prepared.
After I saw an alpha running at me, like with 3 legs, I would have I never would have stepped outside those walls again.
Yeah,
but real quick on that, you notice what you said there, right? A lot of grown men haven't been able to do this, but you're saying that you felt like Spike was more on the level more than the grown men. Think about that. Spike was born into the quarantine while these grown men had real lives before the zombie apocalypse. So that's why, like, Spike was born. All these kids were born, and immediately their innocence is taken away. There's no school. School is shooting arrows. So
and I just thought like especially when they were out in that field and Spike had the opportunity to save his mom, you saw his aim and stuff. Like it was true. Like he didn't miss.
He had someone to protect, and he had to be the man in that situation. He knew I got to stop being a little kid and take care of my mom, which. And even that, he falls asleep and his mom takes care
I was
of him
going to mention
still.
that too.
Yeah.
I did think that was like a cool addition where it was like, even though he does feel like he's heaping all these pressures like on him to be like the man in that situation and stuff, it was nice to see his mom still be able to help him the way that a mother would want to help out their son.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of want to cut this off because I was thinking about it. I think my least favorite scene in 28 Years Later is where the army guy comes in. There were some funny moments because like Spike is like, "What's a phone?
Yeah.
What's wrong with your girlfriend's face? Who's supposed to be a model?" Like that was all funny stuff. But like, I don't know. It was, this whole theme of him becoming a man and he's, trying to save his mom, and they really get into some shit. Like they have a bunch of zombies chasing him. They go into the gas station and they all break in. There's smoke or like gas in the air.
Yeah.
And then this army guy comes in, and I mean, I guess that's what he's supposed to do, is come and save the people. But like, I don't know. I feel like he kind of came in out of nowhere for no reason. I mean, they did kind of like have that scene of all the army guys running away from them, but that kind of also felt like they just kind of put that in for no reason. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not the greatest movie critic. These three are a lot better at what we're doing than I am, but
this
I
is
just I can't explain why. I just didn't really enjoy it too much.
I get what you're saying. And this is important because even though we look at movies deeper, you're still watching the movie. This movie isn't like you have to go in and take a test before you go in. Like anyone can watch this movie. So the fact it didn't work for you means that there's some reason it didn't work. I can see why it did and didn't work. I think probably the reason they put it in there was more world building and comedy, but also was to just have like someone who can die off in a way. But I think it's the tonal shift that takes you out, because at that point it really wasn't a comedy movie. And then he kind of comes in with this very comedy-esque, and then he gets wiped out, and then it's like, okay, back to...
Hey, nice knowing you for 5 minutes. Like,
And I think it was a really cool death, and it took me by surprise. I thought he was going to be like a main character, but I think that comedy switch real quick when you're in this very deep emotional, and then this comedy switch between this guy. But I think he was also there. One of the things I liked, the reason he was there was because he talks about the fact that the outside world is like basically normal. They've contained it just to England, or just to, right, England?
yeah, it was the UK, yeah.
And the UK. So they contained it just to the UK. But anyone who steps foot on there, no one's getting rescued. And that just shows how bad humanity is. That this country, this land is overrun by this infection, and no one's going to save them. They're just like, yeah, fend for yourself. Just showing sometimes the humans are more evil than the zombies.
Yeah.
And so he's stuck there, and he's like, yeah, no one's coming to save us. Like, I'm stuck here now with you guys. So that's why I liked it, because it kind of brought in that same concept that once you let the chains off, humans are terrible, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the world building that he brought. What did you guys think about the like pregnancy scene?
Ooh. That was really interesting.
Yeah.
I think you're talking about like on the train, right?
Yeah,
like giving birth.
Woman gave birth.
Yeah, I think that was a really cool scene because it displayed kind of the compassion of the mom. Because we're talking so much about like, I thought you made a good point before we even saw the movie that they're not undead, they're just infected.
Yeah.
Which I think is a huge difference between like from other zombie movies, because they're still human beings, and like, we can talk about evolution and all these other things. Like some of the characters in the movie still see them as human beings.
Yeah.
And I think that's like really important to, make that distinction of like which characters are like still treating them like humans. So like, for example, the mom like notices that, okay, you're going through this really traumatic process of giving birth, and I'm going to be here for you, despite the fact that when you're done, you're probably going to try and kill me.
Yep.
And that's exactly what happened. And like, we can talk about the doctor as well. I think there's a lot of elements where he shows compassion despite being portrayed as like crazed and like homicidal, I think the dad said. But no, I thought that pregnancy scene, it was kind of crazy seeing that, but it was definitely, I think, important.
Big world building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did the baby come to be? Why
Yeah.
did it not attack her while she's having the baby? Why did the alpha come and look at her after? Like, really cool world building there. Does it make sense? That's up to us to decide. And after movie 3, or I guess would be 6 at this point, no, 5, whatever, when the trilogy is done, will it make sense? I don't know, but
Yeah, I did think it was cool though. Do you think the baby is going to be like patient zero, like immune to the virus or something?
I really hope not.
That is a good point. I don't know. They could really. So they have this whole theme of 28 days, weeks, years later. Whatever this next movie is, they should definitely have that baby be grown and have it be maybe even the main character of the movie, because it was born from one of the infected, but it's not currently infected. Maybe it can somehow cure or turn the infected back into normal humans. This next movie could really be fire, dude. Whatever it is.
28 years later, part 2.
28 centuries later.
It's called like 28. I think it's 28 years later. Bone Temple.
Yeah.
I feel like it's gonna just pick up
I think it's
exactly
gonna
where
pick
it was
up with
just
the next
left
one.
off.
Maybe
yeah.
the third one is like 28 decades later.
Yeah, right.
But I really hope that the baby is not a cure. I think it's best if there's no cure for this. And it's just, the way that I took it was, well, first I was wondering if maybe, I think they said it was like the placenta. He was like, oh, it's the
Power of the placenta.
Yeah.
But the way that I took the message of it is that your parents' wrongdoings and your parents' hatred and their rage isn't passed down to you. Rage is taught, rage is learned, and rage is passed down from others. It's not inherently in you when you're born. And so I hope that's just the message. It's just, hey, rage and hatred is not born in you. It is only given and taught to you. And in this case, puke blood.
Yeah.
Well, that's a really good point. I think also that moment was a big moment for Spike, because he saw his mom be compassionate and kind of allow this baby to come into the world, because who knows what would have happened if they weren't there. Maybe
Well, we know
you never know.
Shot him.
What?
I said we know the other guy.
Yeah, that guy would have shot him. But
Eric or whatever.
Yeah, Eric.
the alpha zombie was like, it kind of really seemed like that was his child. Like, I'm sure it probably was. And so who knows what would have happened if the alpha had got his hands on his baby, immediately. So, but also, I don't know, that guy, Dr. Kelson's a pretty interesting character.
Let's talk about him. Let's talk about Ralph Fiennes' character. He's, if I'm correct, he's Voldemort.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's Voldemort.
He was also in that movie, The Menu.
The Menu. Yep,
He was
a
in that
really
movie.
great actor. So they build up the Doctor in 28 years later that he is a crazed psychopath.
Yeah.
The town, is like, don't go near him. Don't go near him. And I love that dichotomy that the town people who go out and hunt the humanized zombies, the humanized infected for sport, and they come back, they're like, yeah, let's go. And then they get to this guy, and the poster is amazing poster, by the way. 28 years later has an amazing poster. Wicked, you need to learn. Because literally, this poster here is so good, of the big bone skull temple thing. And you're like, dude, this guy's insane. And he's like, yeah, just, all infected and humans need to be remembered. Memento mori.
Yeah, no.
And they need to be remembered. He looks at everyone as the same, that they all need to be remembered. They're all worthy of being remembered. He's the most sane out of all of them, almost.
Dude, no, I really enjoy that character, and I liked the contrast between Spike's dad's view on him, like he's some crazy, wacko, but then I guess his grandfather, whoever that other old dude is that he's talking to before he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take care of my mom. That guy was like, oh, he's a doctor. He used to be a doctor. He's a little odd, but he's an important guy. He used to do important things, and so Spike and his mom pull up on this guy's bone fort, which I like the point that you made is, you kind of walk in on this and you kind of see why the dad and all the other guys are like, this guy's a wacko. He's living in a skull temple.
Elden Ring boss of being LA.
Yeah.
But he's doing it because he knows, like, what was that thing that he said? He was like, death comes in different ways and some ways are better than others. Like, I feel like he's kind of taking it upon himself to make sure that regardless of how all of those bones and skulls might have perished, he's like, you were important to somebody and you were a human being with a soul. Like, you should be remembered. And I think, Spike being 12 or 13 years old, he would have been like, dude, we got to get out of here. I don't even care what this guy's about. This place is freaky. He was like, I feel like Spike was kind of had a lot of very similar mindset, like views as Dr. Kelson. I feel like those two,
That's why they
it was very important for him to meet him.
You're right.
Other than,
walking into a skull temple would have been like, what the fuck?
yeah.
Right out.
Yeah.
But I feel like it was very important for Spike to meet Dr. Kelson, aside from seeing what was wrong with his mom.
Yeah. And I like that Dr. Kelson really did know something like about the virus and like all these other things, to the point where had the town that Spike was from been more accepting, they could have learned
And
a
lived in
lot.
peace.
Yeah.
Because he had the whatever chemical
Yeah.
on him that they didn't like it, so they wouldn't
attack
attract it.
him
Yeah.
the same way. He had the chemicals that made the alpha like paralyzed
Yep.
and not bother him.
I thought
dude, again.
I thought that was like one of the most telling things of his character, the doctor, like sedating the alpha instead of trying to kill
Killing him,
him.
dude.
Like that was so, I don't know, because like we saw the chase scene earlier in the movie and they,
Yeah.
they're shooting fire arrows at this guy while they're like
Yeah.
getting chased after him. And meanwhile, he's just like, oh yeah, I shot him with a little morphine.
Not only that,
And then he has a name. They
has a name.
literally gave him a name.
Named him, and I looked up. People were online like, "Yo, they sedated the alpha twice. Why did they just kill him?" It's like that's the point.
Yeah,
that's
right.
the point. They didn't kill him because he doesn't look at him as a monster. He looks at him as a human that was infected, and he thinks he deserves to live. And they humanize the infected. They're bathing. They're having pregnancy. The schlong is going everywhere.
Oh my
This guy
gosh.
is really into the zombie dick right now.
I mean, it was all over the
It was all
screen.
over those screens.
It's hard not to
I know that front row is just damn Samson.
if they make this movie in 3D, you going to see it?
Oh, dude, 40. Oh, you guys like the evolution of alphas in 28 years later? Because in the first movie, it's just zombie. It's just, or not zombies. It's just the infected. It's just the fast moving. There's no hierarchy.
So did they have like the fat zombies that were like on the ground in the?
No.
Okay. Well, having not seen those movies, I like that there was like a variety to the kind of zombies that you saw. Like
Not zombies.
when I saw the rage virus,
The infected.
the infected. But yeah, I thought it was cool when he was ripping people's spines out of their back.
Yeah, no, that was tough.
insane.
I was like, this guy is like that.
We got Mortal Kombat, Predator, rage-inducing
Fatalities.
zombie. Dude, when I saw that in theater, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
this rips.
Yeah, you were like, ah.
Oh, I think I was like, yo.
I mean, that was
We just watched the Predator Killers movie the other day,
Yeah.
and then I'm seeing the live action human predator ripping some guy's spine.
Yeah, Eric went out bad.
No, that's the reason that I really enjoyed this movie, though. But like some of the action and like the gore, just that's what I liked initially. Like the more we talk about it, the higher my rank is going for this. But I don't know. I said this. What movie was it for? I said during Nope. I was like, I don't like to watch movies where I got to use my brain.
Yeah.
I just like to see what's on the screen and be like, that's cool, or this is a great story. But coming back and talking about this movie does have a lot of themes and messages that you wouldn't really think about unless you had other people to talk about it with.
And there's so much. There's so much we're missing too.
well, I guess I'll say the, I don't know, maybe this is a critique more so, but I just thought like the concept of time was so hard to, I don't know, try and comprehend in this movie. I thought maybe the scenes, there's like a couple scenes where it would be like kind of like night vision in red and you would see zombies like kind of doing whatever.
Yeah.
I thought that would supposed to like symbolize a day passing maybe. And that was like the concept of time, but like,
So what I think
I
that
thought those were like flashbacks.
yeah, that's what it was. So they would like walk over the bridge and there would be like a piece of the bridge broken, and then it would flash to the red to show what happened that night with the infected and show like why it happened. Or they would come across the deer and then it would flash back with the red. I think the red is just like a stylistic choice just to like really fucking creep you out.
yeah.
And just show like the It starts out maybe wait maybe let me cook, let him cook, let me cook. Maybe it's red because at that point he is following his dad and his dad's order and his dad's worldview, and these are monsters, these are zombies. So they're in this blood red, eyes glowing, monstrous zombies, demonic creatures. But then as it keeps going, we don't see that anymore because now we're realizing that these infected are more human or humanistic.
Yeah. You know what? I think I'm glad I let you cook.
Yeah. Let him cook.
Because they also had those scenes at the very beginning where it was like lines of men shooting the bow and arrows, and it seemed like it was a war. Like it seemed like it was kind of in the middle of a war, but there weren't any infected.
That was just I think like clips from like medieval movies or something. I guess showing. I'm a little confused on that. Is probably trying to make some comparisons of the way that like. I don't know. I guess because it's like humans versus humans there, so maybe it's showing it's the same deal, or the fact that like humanity has went from like here and now they're back to medieval times here in a way. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But back to the point you were saying, I also did kind of feel like it was hard to tell like how long time was taken.
Yeah.
Like I have no idea how much time passed between him being back at home and leaving again with his mom. Like was that the next day? Was that like a week?
28 hours.
Yeah, right.
Or like even when he first got out into the world with his mom, and even to meeting Eric, to him spending time with Dr. Kelson.
Yeah.
I don't really know how long all of that was supposed to take place.
Yeah, because like, I mean, this was a really subtle thing, but they were like in the field eating apples, and he goes into his bag and there's like literally 50 apples probably.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't think they would have packed that many things if they were only out there for like a day, you know? So
Yeah.
in my mind, I was like, I feel like they've been out here like way longer.
But
than
there's also
we've
But they
realized.
were also like really fresh looking apples though.
Yeah.
Which made me
Yeah.
think,
Nice.
like
They're nice looking apples.
none of these apples are like bruised or like
Yeah.
browning at
Right.
all.
Maybe they picked
I
them
mean-
that day.
I mean, maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe there
It
was
was-
an apple tree nearby.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
When I was looking at him, I was like, maybe this is like a telling of the
Mm-hmm.
time, but I couldn't tell.
for me, the time between when he leaves home with his mom to the point where he gets to Dr. Kelson, it was probably like just a couple of days.
Yeah. I took
But when they found the baby, and remember he turned home and left that note after that scene of where Spike's dad is like running out into the water being like, son, you know, what are you doing? They had the little 28 days later like time card show up.
Yeah.
And then I think that led into the scene where he's like cooking the fish by himself. Is that what that led into?
it was the cooking the fish and then the infected.
Okay, yeah. So that was like right at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it was probably a couple of days that it took for Spike and his mom to get to the thing, because they had that one scene of when they were sleeping, and
They were
I
in the
guess the
house.
mom. It was the mom who when they were like under the bridge
that
or
was-
whatever, and she
yeah.
put the bag over the guy's head and was
Yeah.
Yeah.
was that was the mom doing that? Right?
Yeah, that was the mom.
Because it was kind of like they made it seem like it was two different scenes.
Yeah.
He was kind of like asleep, and I think he had a nightmare about what he thought was going on because he probably heard
But
sounds.
she's
or
also
something
having
like
memory
that.
issues, so she doesn't necessarily remember actually killing the
Yeah, that was confusing. Some of the editing in this movie is just
Yeah,
it's hard to. That's what I said. It's acquired taste. Like
Yeah,
it's just
it is.
But that I kind of like that.
Yeah, it's a very chaotic, very fast paced, like it feels like a 2000s movie. Like
I feel like they could have made this into a really good TV show instead of a
Yeah.
movie.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think 28 years later could have benefited from being two movies. What if we get one movie and the entire movie is Spike and his father going out into the wilderness and things go wrong. That whole thing lasts one whole big movie with the alpha and everything like that. It ends with Spike leaving with his mom, setting up the next movie, and the next movie is him and his mom surviving out there and that whole thing. Maybe that would be better because that tonal shift would have been longer, stretched out, more built up instead of it happening in the middle of the movie.
I think I really like that idea. I think that would have worked well.
I think people would have liked it because I think the two stories are really good. I really liked it, but I can see why people went into this wanting 2 hours of Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike. But they only got an hour of that, and then it switches to a coming of age story. But if we got a 2 hour movie of Aaron Taylor Johnson and Spike, out in the forest, survival horror while also building up this loss of innocence, while also building up the mother, comes back into a cliffhanger of he's going out with his mom now.
Yeah, no.
Maybe we got to let them cook because
Yeah.
I think they already filmed the second
did,
movie
yeah.
already. So maybe, however, they chopped up all the footage
Yeah.
from what happens in the next movie too. They were like, it might just make more sense
Yeah.
like that because I think we saw Aaron Taylor Johnson's character the dad like chase after Spike
started to, yeah.
at the end of the movie. So maybe he's going to be out there hunting, looking for him.
I think he said he's going to be a more major part in the second one.
Okay.
And so, Jory, you in the trailer, and we pointed out in the movie, it looks like you see Jim from the first movie as a zombie. I think that's been confirmed. It is not Jim. It is just a zombie that looks like him or an infected.
Interesting.
And I believe they said Jim from the first movie will be coming back in the next two.
Ooh. Okay.
I hope it just makes sense. Because that movie is just so great and ends so well that part of me is almost happy having it open ended versus like, what if Jim from the first movie is now in the cult of Jimmys? No, there's no way that guy. No way Jim would be part of the Jimmys, but he might be mistaken for being part of the Jimmys. But I was not ready to see one of the greatest scenes of 2025 in 28 years later. The chase along the causeway with the alpha zombie was possibly one of the greatest scenes of this year.
Really?
I was sitting there like drooling, like in all of that scene. If we had that,
Drilling over what exactly?
just the entire scene, just the tension.
What scene is this? When he's chasing them through the train?
When he's chasing them and they're
Back to the island.
to the island and the waters like upside.
Oh, yeah,
And the alpha's just, and you just see all of a sudden, you don't see the alpha. All you see is the water splashing up, and you look back, like run.
Yeah.
And then the alpha is just, oop.
Oh, there we go.
And so
You
yeah,
were just talking so much about the alpha's
Literally.
bodies. I thought you were drooling about something.
No, no, dude, that scene was insane. I was watching that, and I think like if that scene was the entire movie, like that vibe, if that scene was the entire vibe, or if that scene was the entire movie's vibe, people would have absolutely loved it. That scene was phenomenal. It was shot so well with like the lights, the sky, the northern lights in the sky. You've got the alpha zombie hauling.
Dude,
Did not break stride.
I mean, and then the sound design of just like it would cut and they're like, oh, we made it in the water. They think they're safe. And then it would cut real quick to like, and then come back to them and like, and then the ravens or the crows, and then they're like, and they just see the water splashing, and it's like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
I think the low tide was like a cool stylistic choice to be able to hear his footsteps.
Yeah. And they're just like, and it's the first time we're seeing the alpha like really doing this. First time we're introduced to an alpha. So this alpha guy is hauling, zooming, and then they're running, they're shooting arrows at him. He's not falling. They're all asleep for some reason, not doing their watch, and they're like, oh my god, dude, oh dude, fucking perfection. That was, I think, that's what people wanted from this movie. And I think that's what a lot of people went into expecting that for 2 hours. And that's when it transitions and people are like, what? But then that scene, dude, I was watching and I was like, yeah, this is it.
I thought
This is great.
I think Justin and Spencer will understand this reference, but the alpha was definitely Aura Farming. He looked like Ashton Genty in the backfield, where he would just stand up straight, just like this, and you see him in the distance. I mean, I thought those shots were really cool. Like,
Dude,
the dad's like, that's an alpha out there. You don't like if
it comes near you, run.
I don't know. There's nothing you can do, but I think also at the end of that chase scene, Tyler, it was interesting because there's like a parallel at the end where they're trying to get back inside, where they're like banging on the door. They're like, let me in, let me in, let me in. And in the first movie, if you remember when Jim and Selena first met Frank and his daughter, they in the apartment, and they're like banging on the door, and his daughter's like not letting them in. Like, please let us in. And his dad's like, or I guess they're like, why are you making us wait? Why are you making us wait? But it's because, you don't know if they're infected and you got to wait, 20 seconds or whatever it is. And that's exactly what the woman was doing. So I thought that was a really cool, like,
again, showing
parallel.
It makes sense, but it's like people will literally, like they say, like, if you go out there, we're not like going out of our way.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you come back here and there's a zombie right next to you, right, and infected, like, we're not opening those doors.
Like,
dude, that scene was so great. Just the tension building from them thinking they're safe, the cinematography. The cinematography in this movie was insane. So much of it was great. I didn't mind the bullet time effects, which is like where every shot was a boom and then it would boom, like that, where it would like show 3D. I thought that was actually pretty cool. I'd have to rewatch it and find out if they did that for every zombie kill. I think then I'd get a little sick of it, but on first watch, I wasn't sick of that. Cinematography was insane though.
I definitely like the before you say that. I definitely like the suspense of when they finally did make it to the gate.
Oh yeah,
and they couldn't. just immediately get let in.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I was gonna say.
No, yeah, that was a great scene. But this is how you know that iPhone's better than Samsung, because they would never have filmed this on Samsung.
No, no.
iPhone over Samsung for sure.
Yeah, so that scene was like, that was my favorite scene of the entire movie. I don't know what was your guys' favorite scene in 28 Years Later?
I think I like the part where they first like go up into the house, like they're getting chased by
Yeah.
like the alpha zombies, and it's like starting to like the sun is just starting to set, kind of, and the son starts like missing shots because he's like nervous, and then the dad is like kind of helping him, like he's like, we gotta move,
Yeah.
Spike. He like trips a little bit,
Spike, check
and he's like, we gotta move.
yeah.
And then like when he like falls off his leg trying to like get up the attic stairs.
Oh, dude, the tension building was great.
Yeah, that part was sick.
I think my favorite scene in 28 Years Later was, I think it was the next day after they were in that house, Spike and his dad, or maybe it was right before. I can't remember. It was when they saw the alpha and a couple of zombies like on the horizon.
That was before,
like that
yeah.
one single tree. Yeah,
That was
like
sick.
just kind of him being like, "Oh, that's an alpha," and how they're all just kind of standing there like NBA young boy, just
Exactly.
and then they all take off, and it's like,
the alpha
dude,
is just-
yeah, and he stays there, dude. It
At that point, you don't know what the alpha is. You don't know what they look like or anything, and it's just the silhouettes, and the alpha is just aura forming.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
Aura forming like
Ashton
Sung
Jensen.
Jin.
Posturing.
Yeah.
He's aura forming like Sun Jin Woo in Solo Leveling, just sitting there like this, and he screams, and everyone around him just goes. And, oh.
No, that was
Nah, on his command was definitely
Yeah,
tough.
no, it was really cool. That's what I'm saying. It's like I can totally understand why people don't like 28 Years Later, because they wanted more of the first half of the movie, because that was just fucking peak. And then it switches and it's a very different movie. I liked it. I can understand why people don't.
yeah. I just, to kind of give my ending thoughts. I wish it was more of that first half of the movie, because I've never seen any of the other movies prior to this. I don't really watch a lot of zombie stuff anyway, other shows or movies. So I was coming into this, all I knew was it was a zombie related movie. I wish it was more of, fighting for your life, just kind of, just a lot more, it didn't. The only part to me that really seemed like it was a horror movie was those red flashback scenes, because those were like pretty gory. It was them eating each other or ripping the head off the deer. Like the rest of that movie was just kind of more of like a thriller, I guess, to me. Like it kind of like,
I think it's,
it got your heart rate going a little bit. It was a lot more action to me than horror, but initially I didn't like the whole tonal switch, but I can appreciate it for what it is. It was kind of, I feel like, that lady sitting next to you, she probably liked that second half of the movie way better. So this movie is a lot. 28 Years Later is definitely, everybody has their own opinion, and it's just kind of, each person likes different parts of the movie.
it's what you prefer, what you went into it wanting.
I feel like it can be, a broader audience can watch this movie and like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember you saying that you felt like it was a little bit better now. Do you have a new rating, or is it staying the same?
Not much higher, probably a 7, because I still really don't like the tonal switch. Even though I've been hyping it up as we've been talking, I really wish it was just more action and killing zombies. And
Alex Garland wrote this film, and he is directing the Elden Ring movie.
I was actually just about to bring it up. It's funny you should say that.
Yeah.
I think, interestingly enough, like even though I kind of critique the tonal changes, I think that they would actually work really well in an Elden Ring style movie.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much action in Elden Ring, but there's also so much like plot depth that hasn't really been covered. And I think being able to go from, okay, this is going to be very action oriented scene, to being able to kind of switch into a more dramatic like plot oriented like story elements. I think that would work really well for that.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know, I might just like TV shows better than movies, but I feel like if they make an Elden Ring film type of thing, that it should kind of be like a Lord of the Rings or
Oh yeah.
what's the other one? Dragon House. What's that show?
House of the Dragon.
Yeah, what's that like? Game of Thrones. There you go. They should make this Elden Ring movie. They should make it into like hour-long episode TV show. I feel like that would really work really well.
It could be, but the problem with that is that TV shows don't have the near budget that would probably be needed to make an Elden Ring TV show.
Yeah, I guess.
But no matter what, that's not what's happening. They're making a movie,
well,
so.
I'm looking forward to the movie though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm going to see it for sure.
I just hope. I really, really hope they don't make it about our like Tarnish that you play.
I hope it's literally just one of the characters that are established. Like, make it about
if
America.
they make it about like the Shattering or something
Yeah.
like that. Something that happened either before or after the game takes place, or even if it's something that the game like talks about, don't make it about the character that we supposedly created in the game.
Yeah, I totally agree. I hope it's like following like one of the main characters. Like it could be America, it could be Melania, it could be Radon, it could be Relena. Like I don't care who it is, but I want it to be one of those. I could do a Tarnished maybe, but I don't want it to be some like new character like the Mortal Kombat movie did, where they just brought in a whole new character and it's like, yeah.
It should be my
The movie
Tarnished guy.
2 seconds long because you don't
Guys-
you suck.
I named my Tarnished just bitch. That's just his name. That would be a great movie about bitch.
Yeah.
Muscled by every boss.
But I have a funny segment here. Read to you guys some of the funniest 28 years later reviews that I found on Letterboxd. I took
gosh.
screenshots of some of these. So this one is from Harry, 28 inches later.
Yeah.
David says, third act Fiennes never misses. I agree with that. And then the next person goes, Ralph Fiennes, whatever, is so damn orange in this film, I thought he was the fucking Lorax. This guy says, the amount of times I thought, look at the cock on that fella. It's ridiculous.
That fella.
Starting to think that this virus has Viagra in it.
I don't know, dude.
Danny Boyle is having so much fun. That's the director. He said cock. He said gore. He said wig.
Alpha Honey Pack.
Oh, yeah.
20 zombie dicks later. You're not prepared for the amount of zombie cock in this film.
Oh. I mean, I don't, yeah. No, we weren't.
What what freak's idea was it to make zombies hung as fuck, actually? Nothing can compare you for Jack O'Connell's character in this movie. Dude is off the chain, yeah. A24 wishes they had this many naked people in their films. So yeah, I was looking at the reviews just to like
just all-
all people, and it was
yeah.
just, everyone was just like zombie.
Yeah.
And dude, like, I'll put the meme on the screen, but like this meme I saw like under someone where they were like critiquing it. It was just that. Where, like every time the output on the screen.
That's how the people in the first row.
Yeah, that's how our friend Jordan was front row, and so we're looking at
Yeah.
alpha.
The truth about 28 years later is it's got some parts that you're probably gonna like, but it's got its little parts that you're probably not gonna feel as good about. I think everybody's gonna walk away having a slightly different opinion about it, but all in all, definitely worth a watch. One of the better movies of 2025 so far.
Yeah. Which one did you guys like better? We had two really popular monster-ish movies coming out in 2025 that both had really emotional, deep messages. Did you like Sinners or 28 Years Later better? Go.
Sinners.
Go.
Sinners.
Go.
Sinners.
Smurfs movie. No.
Oh.
yeah,
Gun.
yeah. Naked Gun. Oh, yeah, no. Sinners is just...
I think if there was more Jack O'Connell in 28 years later.
What if it was a crossover and he came in like...
He was doing.
go
Oh, I don't know.
They got to give him some kind of like guitar instrument in the next movie.
28 years later, don't listen to what everyone else is saying. Go see it for yourself. If you don't like it, that's perfectly respectable. I completely understand. We all do. If you love it, I also see that. So go see it. I think it's worth seeing. I think movies like this should be seen in theaters. Overall, really enjoyed it. Top movie of the year for me, but not the top.
Go see it, form your own opinion, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, I think it's a great time for everybody. You know, if you're into,
Fun family film.
I mean, hey man, if Spike can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah.
No, but
Maybe. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like a broad. How do I put this? How do I say like it doesn't matter? Like this movie can, you know, a lot of different audiences can enjoy this movie. How would I say that?
It's got broad appeal.
28 Years Later definitely has a broad appeal. I feel like a lot of different types of people can go and watch this movie and enjoy it.
Cool.
All right. Well, you didn't ask, but that's a review of 28 Years Later. Pretty fun film. Pretty family friendly film. And go watch it. Thanks for watching. We got plenty more movies coming out. We're gonna be reviewing music coming out, TV shows, bad posters from Wicked. So
Yep, summer's just getting started. We got a lot more movies and stuff on the way.
yep. So
Made in
Lock in.
Paris about to drop. Pierre. Yeah.
Nobody's listening to that.
No.
Nobody's listening to that. You want to talk about real music? You want to talk about real music?
Don't even say what
Morgan Wallen album is so fire.
Tate McRae.
That might be the best song on the album. Oh, I hate that dap. I hate that dap.
What about Z Shane? Z Sean.
Sean. Shout out to Zayshawn. Zayshawn B.
I don't know. You're the one that showed
Yeah,
it.
you put us on.
You're the
You
guy.
gotta put his
Yeah.
song in at least like a little clip of it.
The TikToks.
Zayshawn B. I found you on TikTok the other day, and you have the absolute most banger chill music, modern day Frank Sinatra. I'm gonna play. I won't be able to play during it, but Justin, listen.
Zayshawn makes absolute bangers.
Jory.
He's got Riz.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we were
I
driving,
like it. I just found him on TikTok. He's absolutely fire.
we were driving to
The theater.
the 28 Years Later yesterday. Tyler throws on this absolute banger, and at first I was like, "Dude, why are you taking the aux?" Because this guy's known to put on stinkers.
Yeah, that's
And then he queued up a banger for once. I was shocked.
Shout out to Zayshawn.
Nah, for real.
yeah. You know what? Shout out, guy.
Anyway, that's it for this time. Check back in.
Oh, yeah.
To hear all this yapping, but
You didn't ask, but we did it anyway.
anyway. So.
Yeah.